it's my great pleasure to declare this graduate celebration open.
As Pro-Vice-Chancellor and Head of College, I am delighted to welcome all of you gathered here today as we reunite the class of 2020 in celebration of their achievements during their time at Birmingham and since you left us. This is not a normal degree ceremony and it's not taking place at the normal time, but then these have not been normal times. The global pandemic has impacted all of our lives in ways that we could never have imagined only 18 months ago. You will all have your own memories of how you felt in the spring of 2020 as our vibrant campus community moved almost entirely online. It was not the conclusion to your degrees that you had wanted or that we had wanted for you. Yet in the most challenging of circumstances, you showed that resilience, that ingenuity and that tenacity that represents the best of a Birmingham student and a Birmingham graduate. You adapted, you persevered, and you graduated with our esteem and admiration. Whether you completed an undergraduate, postgraduate or research degree, I trust that you will look back with fondness on your years with us at Birmingham. We are proud of your achievements and you should be proud of them too. Graduations are a defining moment in the university's calendar, and your graduation is a defining moment in your life. It's a moment that we as a university could not let pass without the celebration and the recognition that it deserves. We celebrated your graduation virtually in the summer of 2020 and always remained committed to bringing you back to this beautiful campus for a true Birmingham graduation experience. We are one of only a few universities that are holding any kind of graduation celebration on campus for their 2020 graduates, and the events and activities we are hosting today demonstrate the value we place on you and your achievements. We hope that you will enjoy this opportunity to be reunited with each other, to share your success with friends and family, to put on your robes, and to recognise and reflect on your achievements during your degree and since. This is not an ordinary graduation ceremony, as I have said, but this has not been an ordinary 18 months. During the pandemic, the university community has stepped up and played its part in the nation's response. Our researchers have developed new tests to detect COVID, new medical interventions for those suffering from it, and have contributed to our understanding of the disease so that we may better deal with it. Many of you supported vulnerable members of the community in Selly Oak and in your own communities further afield, distributing food and medicine to those most in need, volunteering in hospitals and helping neighbours. The student response to the pandemic that you began in 2020 has continued, and we remain ever grateful and in awe of the way in which our students continue to support their communities and each other. You are extraordinary people, and we are here to celebrate your achievements. You came to the University of Birmingham because you wanted to come to a great place of learning for the next phase of your life. You stand here today having overcome all barriers and having already begun the first steps in what we are sure will be rich and fulfilling lives after your studies here. The degree celebrations here in the Green Heart this year are a first in what is a university of firsts. This was the first campus university, the first to incorporate a medical school, the first to allow women to take medical degrees and to create a women's hall of residence. More recently, we were the first university to open a secondary school, and during the pandemic, we were the first to establish a Pillar 2 testing laboratory to provide COVID-19 testing for our local community across the West Midlands. Perhaps today represents a first for you. Let me particularly congratulate those of you who are the first in your families to graduate. Others of you will have been the first in your family to study in this country, or maybe the first to achieve a postgraduate qualification. Some of you may even be the first to make a particular discovery in your area of doctoral research. You are all among the first to graduate through a global pandemic and to take your next steps into employment or further study as that pandemic continued to afflict the world. You have overcome challenges that few others have faced before. You'll have stories of what that has meant for you and you will have a unique experience which you should see the positive side on and build on in the future. Today is a day to tell stories, the individual stories of each of you, the graduates of all ages, backgrounds and nationalities who have animated this great university. Each of you gathered here represent an individual chapter written into the history of the university. All of you will have your own unique and personal story of what it took for you to complete your degree and the challenges that you faced. Each of you here can feel extraordinarily proud of what you have accomplished. The pandemic has taught us all about the need for resilience and the importance of being aware of potential major disruptive global events that are difficult to predict. However, this pandemic did not come out of the blue. It has been at the top of the government's risk register for many years. But how many people really thought it would happen, and how many were prepared for it when it did happen? The last 18 months have shown how crucial universities are in allowing society to rapidly understand and deal with such crises. And our experience emphasises the importance of the skills and expertise that you have developed during your studies with us. The abilities that you have learned to critically appraise a problem, analyse data, and apply a scientific approach to understanding complex problems has proved invaluable in our response to COVID-19. Whatever you do in the future, use those skills to succeed in whatever career path you follow. And use your influence to help people understand what is going on in this pandemic, and particularly to make sure that your friends and colleagues who may have concerns about, for instance, vaccination, follow the science and take up vaccination, as this is the only way that we're going to get out of this terrible global disaster. For most of you, last summer will have marked the end of one kind of relationship with the university and the start of a new one. You've now spent more than a year as a member of a distinguished family, a family with over 300,000 members in more than 170 countries around the world, the alumni of the University of Birmingham. Our alumni engage in an astonishing array of projects and professions, and we look forward to witnessing your own professional achievements and successes being added to the list in years to come. You and those who are with you have many reasons to be proud today. We share in that pride, and in that spirit of pride and accomplishment, I now hand over to Wei Lung Chen to continue this celebration event.
It is wonderful to be back on our beautiful campus, and I'm delighted that we can celebrate with families and friends today for our degrees and time at the University of Birmingham. Congratulations to every single one of us in the class of 2020 for the achievements. My name is Wei Lun. I'm the International Officer at the Guild of Students. I want to spend a bit of time for reflection. There were difficult times when studying at the university. When COVID hit the UK last year in March, we still needed to finish our assignments and complete our degree. I was doing my dissertation and 4 pieces of coursework. The anxiety was high, and the pandemic exacerbated it. There were constant voices in my head saying, "You can't do it, you can't do it." Doubts were one of the biggest enemies that I had, but I kept saying to myself, "Yes, I can," again and again. And I was supported by my family, so I was able to push through the difficulties. Each of us will have been presented different challenging moments while studying at the university, and we'll have received support from our families and friends. I think these times are worth remembering. So today I want to celebrate with you, not just our degrees, but for the moment we told ourselves, yes, we can, and persevered through the adversity. As an international student coming to study in the UK, there were challenges too. I made a lot of effort adapt to a new environment. There were different things to learn, such as how to communicate effectively. I also faced some problems with my visa, and this is when the university support plays an important role. So I want to say thank you to those tutors, lecturers, officers, and the staff members for those support we receive from you. There are lots of happy memories made at Birmingham, and after today, we become alumni of the university. One day, when I meet another Birmingham alumni somewhere in the world, I think it will put a smile on my face, because I know there are lots of things we can share to each other. There are lots of memories we have together. Each of us here have our own experience at Birmingham, and it's the people we share it with makes our experience memorable. One of the best things I love about our university is that we are an international community. Birmingham students and alumni are all over the world, and I'm proud of being part of the community. I have friends from across the globe now through being a student at Birmingham. On behalf of graduating class 2020, I would like to thank the university and staff members for putting this celebration together. I would like to say thank you to the families and friends here today for celebrating it with us. To my fellow graduates, we've made it. Congratulations.
Well, and thank you very much indeed for those inspiring remarks. Everybody in this celebration is special. The graduates are special because of what you've achieved. Those who are with you are special because they are the people who have supported you in your study and in your transition to life beyond university. And those who have taught you and those who have supported your learning are special. So everybody in this marquee has got good reason to thank others. So let's do that for one last time in a big round of applause. As Professor Adams said in his opening remarks, these are extraordinary times where things we never thought would happen have happened. And I want to begin by addressing one of those extraordinary and unprecedented events, which will be concerning all of you here in the marquee. What has happened to the hands on old Joe? Now, for those of you who are grappling with this great global crisis, I can assure you the hands of old Joe are in good hands. They are in Derby, with the mechanism of old Joe, which is being refurbished. I'm an expert on what's happening to old Joe because one of our grandchildren, our oldest grandson, has become obsessed by old Joe. He's 4.5 and more or less daily asks me, "Are the hands back, Grandad?" The hands are due back this month with the mechanism, and Joe will resume his normal life. Interestingly and symbolically, it was almost as the pandemic broke that the mechanism of old Joe stopped. So old Joe stopped when the crisis started, and we are hoping to restart old Joe as we move beyond the COVID crisis. It's wonderful to have so many of you back here on campus in the middle of this great Green Heart. Some of you would have joined the university when we were creating the Green Heart. We had many reasons for doing it. We didn't think that one of the reasons would be it would enable us to do degree celebrations in the middle of a global pandemic. But it rather symbolically makes the point that Professor Adams was making. We as a university, as you as people, have had to adapt, have had to reuse our resources, have had to put our resources to different purposes. And you and your university throughout this crisis have been enormously resilient. There is, I think, no generation which will be able to compare to yours for the way in which you have been able to reorientate your lives, your learning, and your careers. You joined the university in those halcyon days before the crisis. You, with us, went through that period where learning had to be transformed, where we had to operate in different ways, where we had to relate to one another in different ways. And it's greatly to your credit that you have adapted with such confidence, that you have persisted with such resource, and that you have retained that sense of optimism and that commitment to looking to the future and to building a better future. In 1793, the then Prime Minister, William Pitt, said, roll up that map of Europe. It will not be needed these next years. That, of course, was the start of the Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. In some ways, when this crisis started, many of us were saying, roll up those maps, those ways in which we thought about the present and the future. Because what we had to do was we had to readjust, we had to reorientate. And now, as a university, we are starting to chart a new course, the course beyond COVID. And you, as graduates of this university, have an even greater task and an even greater challenge, because you are part of the way in which this country, and indeed countries beyond the UK, will be charting new courses. You are well equipped to do that. You have experienced the last 18 months. You have proved yourself resilient in the last 18 months. But you are equipped with all of those qualities that Professor Adams and Wei Lin were talking about. The ability to work together, the ability to imagine, the technical skills, the professional skills that you have. And my appeal to you today is to put those to two purposes. The first is to achieve the best for yourselves. That's why you came here. You came here because you had ambition. You graduated from here with that ambition enhanced. So now, as you continue to build your lives, to build your careers, use all of those resources to make the best of yourselves. But as you're doing that, recognize that wider responsibility, that responsibility that we all have to the communities of which we are part, to the nations that we build, to our fellow citizens to whom we owe so much. So in achieving the best for yourselves, commit to doing the best for others. In being the best for yourselves, be the best for those around you. Around our university, you see the motto which has animated this university since its founding in 1900. Per ardua ad alta. Through efforts to high things. Your efforts so far have brought you high things. The degrees that we celebrate today. The careers and the lives that you are embarked upon. But those same efforts will take you over time to still greater things. Have faith in yourselves. Have faith in your university. Have faith in those around you. And above all, have faith in the future, because it is the future that you are now building. Keep in touch with us. Celebrate with us. We will celebrate with you. Have a great day, and our very best wishes. And now I declare this graduate celebration closed.